Hi, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to discuss something that I like to call my zero tolerance policy. So I wanted to start off by telling a story about a friend that I had in college. Um, when I met him, he kind of seemed to have a little bit of an abrasive attitude. He kind of seemed to really enjoy his alone time and not really, you know, not really engage when he didn't want to. And he just seemed to have kind of a low tolerance for people sometimes. But as we got to know each other and over the years, I learned that he had some medical issues. He was a cancer survivor, and he had a stem cell transplant, but ended up having a lot of residual problems as a result. So I started to understand that he just probably wasn't feeling well a lot of the time, and he just didn't really put up with anything if he didn't want to. And now that I have been chronically ill for many years, I have learned to appreciate that philosophy. Even though he would come across as a bit abrasive and maybe unfriendly, I learned that there was a reason for it. And as my condition has sort of gotten worse, I have also embraced this zero tolerance philosophy. So a few years ago, I met a friend through social media, and she was aware of the fact that I was chronically ill because I believe I met her through Periscope. And so I would go on there and I would chit chat about, my medical issues and other stuff. So she was aware that I had these medical problems and that I needed accommodations, like if I went out anywhere or, whatever. So she really wanted to meet up, and we ended up meeting, and she seemed really nice, really understanding, and we became friends. So we were friends for a couple of years. And things were all right. She seemed pretty understanding in the beginning and very accommodating. We would find activities that I could do, and she would just kind of go along with it. And I thought, this is great. She's just kind of going along with it. She has no issue, doing things outdoors, that kind of thing. Um, Around the 2 year mark, she liked going out to lots of different places too. Like she really liked the whole club scene and that kind of thing. Even though we were a little bit older for that, but I every now and again I would entertain that, and I would say, okay, let's go to a bar or a club and whatever. And this particular time, it was sort of like a Vegas style nightclub, and it was really, really loud, really annoying, and I think I was at the beginning of sort of a decline in my current medical situation, and I could really feel, I was just more tired, and I just wasn't having it. So I told her, I said, you know what, I'm leaving. She was having a really good time, and I was like, you know what, she'll just get an Uber and she'll go home. Like she's been pretty cool about everything up until this point. So I left. I basically left her there. And I got into my car, and then she came out and she kind of found me in the parking structure, and she got into the car and she starts yelling and she starts going off. So, needless to say, I never talked to her after that. I blocked her on all social media. I just stopped answering her texts, and she got the point pretty quickly, and we never talked again. But there's one thing, there's kind of a saying that I have, or well, the saying goes, you can't pick your family, right? But you can pick your friends. You can pick your friends, you can pick your boyfriend, you can pick your spouse. And I think in those areas, that's where you really have to be particular with who you want to associate with. You can't do anything about your family, unfortunately, but with friends, you absolutely have a choice. And I've never understood, now that I'm older. Obviously, when I was younger, when we were all younger, it was sort of the need for approval. We would hang out with the wrong crowd because we wanted to be cool, or we would deal with the annoying chick because she, people liked her, or whatever, or maybe because she was pretty and she got a lot of male attention. So it's like, okay, I want to be friends with her or something. But now that I'm an adult, it's like, I'm not in high school anymore. I don't have to deal with people like this. And so I've sort of developed that zero tolerance attitude where as soon as somebody starts to give me problems, or as soon as somebody becomes a little difficult to deal with, I'm just done. I'm absolutely done, and I just don't want to deal with them anymore. And that's because I'm dealing with discomfort. I'm dealing with discomfort 24/7. I'm tired. I'm sometimes in a bad mood, and why, friends aren't supposed to yell at you. I mean, what kind of a friend is that just goes off on you over not wanting to stay at a nightclub? You know what I mean? Like, it really pushed me to make a decision. I had to choose between my health, which was getting worse at the time, or dealing with her. And obviously my health was going to take priority. And it's I don't when you're sick, you don't really have the option, or you don't have the luxury to just roll with it. You really have to make a decision. And because I was getting worse, because I could tell that my health was not as good as it had been, or not as stable, I almost felt like it wasn't that big of a loss. I was like, you know what? If I don't talk to her ever again, even if I would have kept the friendship, um, I wouldn't have been able to hang out with her anyways, because I wasn't doing well. So my health condition kind of makes those types of decisions a lot easier. Whereas when I was younger, I would put up with, toxic friends, you know, a lot of this mean back and forth, and I would deal with it. And now, even if I'm, talking to a guy, if I'm texting with someone, the moment that person starts to give me the runaround, I'm done, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And there's a good side to that, where you're not going to deal with abusive people, you're not going to put up with abusive people. The bad side is your family, you can't do anything about that. So I reserve my energy for the issues with my family, and trying to, cope with that situation. But speaking of my family, there is other, what's the word, extraneous drama, in-law drama, that kind of thing, that I've just learned to not participate in. And a lot of times family will try to drag you into these other narratives that are going on in the family and the extended family. And one of the things that I have learned to do is to just not respond, not to have an opinion, because people will only gossip with you if you have an opinion, or if you're going to agree with them, or if you're going to go along with it. And I've learned to just not do that. And nobody comes to me with gossip or nonsense anymore. And it just makes things easier. So, that's, I highly recommend it. And I know that there are some people, even with your illness and even with your limitations, some of us still try to seek that approval and to seek that connection. And we keep going back to these friends or boyfriends or exes that just do not serve us, and don't make our situation better. And the one big question that you should really ask yourself is my health worth this? Is me ending up in the hospital, or even having to go to urgent care because the stress of dealing with this person has made me sicker, is that worth it? And given the fact that, one little thing can tip the scale for me, I decided it just wasn't. It just wasn't worth it. And, once I got my medication on board and all of that, I thought to myself, I worked so hard to get to where I'm at. Am I going to let someone take that all away from me because they're throwing a tantrum over a nightclub? So that's my piece of advice. If I could give any advice to someone who is sick or someone who is newly chronically ill, it's cut the fat, get those toxic people out of your life, the ones that you can, and reserve your energy for the ones that you don't have a choice, but you have to deal with, which is, family, coworkers, if you're still working, and maybe even your children, if you have maybe a difficult relationship with your kids. So pick your battles is basically what I'm trying to say. But thank you anyways for joining me. I don't know if I'm going to have many more videos after this one, But I hope you've enjoyed the videos I've uploaded recently, and I hope to see you again very soon. Take care.